You know that moment when headlights finally turn the corner and your phone buzzes, your driver has arrived? Rin freckles the windshield, a siren cries at the distance, and for one suspended breath you decide. Open the door or pretend it's not for you. We trust the stars, the background checks, the safety badges like seatbelts for reality. I did too, until I learned how easily rules buckle. These are 3 alleged true rideshare stories. From both sides of the glass, I've driven through empty industrial back roads and ridden in sedans with 5.0 smiles, and I can tell you this, the app can't feel a hand on the handle. Or notice when the map leads nowhere. At the end, you'll check the back seat before you even open the door. Take a breath, watch the wipers drag, and stay with me. First, the night a canceled ride refused to let go. Tonight, at 2:37 a.m., the app pinged. Tilden Warehouse. Gate C nights are my shift because the roads make sense, and quiet pays if you don't spook easy. I do the safe driver things. Doors locked, dashcam on, location shared with my sister. The profile shows me as N, not my full name. Trust the stars, match the plate, keep it moving. The industrial district felt hollowed out. Sodium lights buzzed, a distant forklift hummed, and my stale pine air freshener fought the damp. I rolled to the shuttered gate and tapped arrived. Seatbelt clink as I leaned forward. My phone blinked. Trip canceled. $1.50 fee and a shrug from the algorithm. I was about to U-turn when the passenger handle jerked. It rattled twice, steady, like someone testing a lock, and a voice bent to the window seam. Natalie. Not in. Not a guess. My full name. I kept my eyes on the mirror. I said, under the floodlight he was a high-vis vest and a cap pulled low, smiling like he knew me. The handle clicked a firm try, then let go. I rolled away, and the app buzzed again. Same account, same pickup. I accepted. It canceled the instant my thumb touched. I took the long loop. Request popped, then canceled. 3 more times, like it was shadowing my brakes. I told myself it was a glitch. Ratings, background checks, panic button. This is why you trust the app. But when I hit the frontage road, a pair of headlights tucked in behind me, one dimmer than the other. Every time I tapped the brake, they tapped too, like we were tethered by string. I pulled into the chevron under the cameras and killed the engine. The car drifted past. Then another buzz, cheaper, rattlier from the passenger side. I reached for the seat adjuster and felt tape. Not a receipt, not a lost charger, tape. Cold, sticky edges under the seat. I peeled and dragged out a second phone. It was already on screen, smeared. Battery at 20. The driver app was open, logged into a name I didn't recognize. The map showed my exact intersection. I thumbed to saved places. Home, work, tap. Home opened to my street, my building, the photo with the chipped mailboxes. Saved home. You can probably guess what it said. But I still stared like the letters might rearrange themselves into anyone else's address. Someone had ridden with me and left this to follow me. Earlier, there'd been a quiet guy in a vest who stared straight ahead. I replayed the memory and felt the click I'd missed. No rating protects you from analog stalking. My own phone buzzed. Unknown number. We know where you sleep. I called back. The carrier sang that flat, empty song. Your call cannot be completed as dialed. I texted a question mark, then stop. The message bounced. On the taped phone, requests kept pulsing around the warehouse, and a car icon dragged behind my route, like a shadow. I went to the precinct. An officer lifted the phone with latex gloves and took the report, then said the thing they say when there's nothing to chase. On the drive to my real home, the one I hadn't said out loud, I kept my lights off and sat until the wipers smeared the windshield dry. My keys felt loud in the lock. For a week after, the ghost pings came at 2:37 a.m., a sick joke from accounts that looked fresh made. The last text arrived with no number at all, just that sentence again. We know where you sleep. If you think the driver's seat is the safe side of the glass, wait until you're the one locked in the back. Behind the wheel, you learn to trust the app's lines like guardrails until one ride erases them. That night taught me control is a story you tell yourself between pings. Now flip seats with me. You're not driving, you're buckled in. Child locks clicking. A flawless 5-star profile smiling in the mirror. The rating shines, the agenda doesn't. If you think driving is dangerous, wait until you're locked in the back. Five stars, 2,300 for trips. Top driver, a neat smile. I was a tired sophomore outside the library at 12:41 a.m., hoodie damp, and I tapped confirm without thinking. If the rating is pristine, how bad can the road be? The sedan slid to the curb with a soft hiss. Too sweet air freshener spilled out when I opened the door, vanilla and something chemical underneath. "Liam," he said, voice warm, eyes quick. "Yeah," I said. "Seatbelt, please." The chime nagged until I clicked in. "Long night, Major Bio. My niece is pre-med. You're on Maple." He flashed my destination on his phone. We pulled off campus, and the doors thunked, locked. I reached for the window to let air in and felt the switch tacky under my thumb. Nothing moved. "Shortcut," he said, turning off before the river. The navigation voice didn't speak, just a silent arrow drifting across a map that wasn't my neighborhood. I checked my app. The route line bent toward Brookside Office Park, the empty cluster of glass boxes nobody uses after 10. "Hey, that's not my way," I said. "Construction on Maple," he said, smile in the mirror. "Trust me." I hit share trip to my roommate, added call me in 2, and watched the tiny blue dot that was me slide toward a place with no apartments. My chest tightened. The chime chirped. Halfway down a dark frontage road, my phone buzzed and the screen changed. "Trip completed. 5 stars for your driver." A receipt popped up like I'd already arrived. Why did it just I started? "Signal's weird out here," he said. A second phone, cradled low by the gear shift. Wasn't a map. It was a spreadsheet. First names, stars, notes, little flags. Cash tip, drinks, lives alone. A row glowed with my name and preferred drop-offs. Brookside rear lot, I swallowed. "I don't feel good," I said. He kept smiling. The light ahead changed to red. "We're almost there," he said. "No, I'm going to be sick," I said, fumbling at the belt. The chime exploded back into beeps. "Don't do that," he snapped. The first crack in the persona, and hit the lock switch off by reflex. I yanked, shouldered the door, and it gave half an inch, then more. Cold air knifed in. I tumbled out to my knees on the paint-chipped median, palms burning, retching because the act had become real. "Horns," someone yelled. I lurched to the gas station on the corner, heart in my throat. "Call 911, I told the clerk, who stared like I'd arrived bleeding. The sedan ghosted away on the yellow, the office park yawning behind it. My roommate called. My map still said my ride ended. The operator asked for a plate. I gave what I could. Fogged headlight, rear quarter scratch, that cloying air freshener. Cops took a report and walked me through the script. I sent screenshots. The app's reply landed an hour later. "We take safety seriously. We'll review. Your driver reported you refused to wear a seatbelt." I stared at that line until it blurred. Fused a seatbelt in a ride that officially ended on a road I didn't live on. Over the next week, the same car kept sprouting new names. Different headshots, different bios, same fogged headlights, same scratch. Victor, Dylan K, all 5 stars, all top driver. I canceled twice when it queued as my pickup and walked instead, feeling its shape idle across the street like a shark fin that didn't break the surface. Maybe it was one guy with rented accounts, be a small ring with a shared spreadsheet and preferred drop-offs. The rating glowed. The system smiled back, and my app had already decided I was home. Predators can polish a 5-star grin. What happens when the map starts lying? 5-star halos can hide predators. We've seen how ratings and profiles get gamed. But what happens when the app starts knowing routes you never chose and insists you're already there? Next, the map freezes. The road thins to fog, and a drop-off pin hovers over a place that isn't on any street sign. If the last two were human, this one isn't so easy to explain. A drop-off that never existed. The storm that night didn't fall. It moved sideways. Wipers squealed across fogged glass like rubber on bone, and the gravel shoulder hissed under my tires. Rural nights pay slow, but they pay honest. Farmhands, nurses, someone stranded at the feed store. That's what I told myself when the ping hit at 3:02 a.m. Pickup pin drifting over the old county church lot by the river. I pulled under the single lamp. Two shapes were already there, pressed into the rain, tall, long coats, motionless. When the back door opened, the smell came first. Wet soil, sweet and rot close, like a garden after the shovel bites. They slid in without words. My dome light flicked a weak circle. Their faces stayed in the dark like they'd learned where the bulb didn't reach. "Good morning," I said, voice steadier than my hands. "Drop off a beat." Then, in a tone like they were borrowing it, "Follow the lights." My phone flickered. Service died to a thin gray X. The map cursor froze in a blank box, no roads claimed. The app still thought we were parked by the steeple. "Need an address," I said. "Nearest cross street? Anything." "Follow the lights," they said together, soft as a warning. The heater blew damp against my knees. The windshield fogged again and cleared in a breathy loop. I eased back onto County 6. The river ran black beyond the guardrail. High beams clawed out a white tunnel, rain threading through it like static. In the mirror, I could see edges. 2 hats, maybe, or shadows inventing hats. Every time the lamp of a farmhouse blinked past, their silhouettes lifted their heads in the same small motion, like sunflowers. "Town's left," I said, angling for the main road. The wheel fought me, or felt like it did. The app reignited, then blinked out. When it came back, the drop-off pin wasn't town. It was a single road label tapped into the middle of gray. "Cemetery, LN?" "No," I said, to the phone, to myself. "We're going to the station." I knew the way. I could drive it blind. I turned right, redrew the route. No voice, just a bright blue worm wriggling me back onto a smaller road. I turned again. It recalculated to the same thin path, not even a line on the county map. When I slowed, the whispers behind me flattened into one breath. Rain drummed. "The wipers complained, sir," I said, forcing the tone I use with drunks and night shift nurses. "If you need the station, I'll take you." "I'm not crossing the river here. The bridge floods." "Follow the lights," the left one said. The right one said it a heartbeat after. The same words, a mirrored delay. In the glass, their heads turned toward each other, but didn't quite align, like two halves of a reflection refusing to meet. The road narrowed to a ribbon of dirt. My tires found ruts that steered me. Gravel popped. Branches shook rain into bright sheets. I kept thinking how stupid this was, how a grown man could be led by a phone that wasn't even breathing. Every instinct said U-turn. Every turn one made bent back to the same place. Cemetery LN was now bold on the map, as if it had always been there. The bridge showed itself like a thought I didn't want. Single lane, wood plank, rails silvered with lichen, water swollen below. Someone had spray painted the sign. The E was blacked out, CMT Re. "No," I said again. My pulse ticked in my ears. In the mirror, pale ovals hovered where faces should be. I thumbed the overhead light. It struggled to full and died. The back seat was only coats and darkness. "We'll tip in cash if you turn your lights off," the left one whispered. The right one caught it a second later. Crossing the bridge, I shifted into reverse. The phone stuttered, then went blank. No clock, no bars, just my reflection in the Gorilla Glass, gaunt and damp. I started saying the address of the station out loud, like speaking it might anchor me. I turned toward it. The blue worm happily snapped back to the bridge. "Enough," I said, and took the shoulder, crunching saplings, scraping paint. The river smell climbed, cold and metallic. I found the main road by stubborn memory, every mailbox a victory. 5 minutes later, the station's fluorescent lot spread white in the rain. I rolled to a stop under the cameras and finally let myself breathe. The back seat was empty. I didn't mean no one, just empty, like no feet had tread the mats. No water puddled from coats. No smell but rain. My dashcam light blinked. It had been on the whole time. The sergeant listened. He walked with me to the car. We played the footage in his office, both of us leaning close. Video showed me arriving at the church, door opening, dome light whiting out the interior. After that, just me driving. Me glancing in the mirror too often, me talking to where a passenger should be. No shape bent the cushions, no door latch clicked. When the bridge appeared, my head jerked alone. "Audio?" the sergeant asked. We watched again, this time listening. In the spots where I glanced in the rear view, 2 voices rustled out of the in-cabin mic, soft and lined up so perfectly it felt wrong. Follow the lights. When I hit the station, a whisper braided over itself. "We'll tip in cash. Just turn your lights off crossing the bridge." For weeks after, the surge ping woke me at exactly 3:13 a.m. Different names, different headshots, same request in the note, "We'll tip in cash. Just turn your lights off crossing the bridge." I keep the files. Sometimes I think I'll delete them. Sometimes I think I'll play the audio here so you can hear it yourself. And then the ping hits again, and I leave the phone face down, telling myself what I told you at the start. When the map says you're there, make sure the road exists. We'll talk about what to do with stories like this and what they leave behind in a moment. 3 rides, 3 truths I can't stop replaying. First, the canceled pickup that kept canceling me. Someone writing the rules until they didn't. A second phone taped under my seat, and a text with no number. Then the 5-star smile that locked the doors, marked the trip complete mid-route, kept reappearing under new names with a fogged headlight. Finally, at night, the map froze, the road thinned, 2 river wet wood. And the dashcam swore I was alone while the mic caught 2 voices telling me to kill my lights. Safety matters. Share your trip. Match the plate. Keep your circle on. But when the rules stop applying, instincts matter more. When a handle tests your door, when a spreadsheet sits where a map should be, when the app says you're there and your gut says nowhere. Driver or passenger, what's the one red flag you never ignore? Drop it in the comments. Tell your city. Teach your friends. If you thought these were bad, I've got dashcam clips I still can't explain. Hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Listen for the chime. Watch the wipers drag. And remember this, before you tap "I'm outside," check who's really in the car.